What's up, guys? Welcome to the Transparency Wednesday night. Let's do this.
Listen, folks, I know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you? All right. Who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
Yeah, haven't been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay. Drive careful, okay?
Hey, will do, thank you.
All right, guys, let's talk about it. Is it a typo in the probable cause affidavit? Is it a typo? Or is it the wrong number? Why have we never seen Bryan being pulled over in August of 2022? They had no problem showing us the October pullover. They had no problem showing us the Indiana pullover. What's up? Is it the fact that it was Washington so we could get it? It was, Indiana so we could get it. Why have we never seen the pullover? No, it's a cardigan of Bryan Kohberger the night of August 22nd, 21st, 2022. How come we've never seen that video? Is it because Bryan says and gives the wrong number? Does he not give a number at all? Why does one of Bryan's defense counsel say, how does he know? He's basically alluding to that he knows it's like an AT&T phone number. Probable causes, you're supposed to be pretty accurate here. How are you having typos on numbers?
This is what the other group had that ran away.
Oh, really? You just ditched it? Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking in the car. And the other one.
It's truly for the win.
Two discs. So there was two different discs. Okay, think about it. All right, guys, I'm here for it. Good evening. Welcome. Come on in. Do me a favor, hit the bell, like, subscribe, do all that crazy shit. But also, if you don't like it, you can always hit the thumbs down. You have an opinion, make yourself known. Mama W20, love you and your endless dedication. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Cheers. It has been one hell of a week. I don't even know. Maybe it's longer. Woo. Okay. Love it from Arkansas. There we go. Awesome. Again, we've heard about Bryan Kohberger getting pulled over in Washington. We saw that in October. Then, ironically, Bethany gets pulled over for tailgating. Then Bryan gets pulled over twice in Indiana for tailgating. We've seen all these body cams, but the one in August where Bryan allegedly gives his phone number up to the police, writing a ticket, issuing either was a warning or It was something ridiculous. But I just couldn't remember the last time I gave and had to put my phone number on a ticket. I mean, that would have been back in like the day, you know? But what about Bryan putting down the wrong phone number? Would you think to yourself, I'm not going to put the right number down. I don't want them to have my phone number. So I'm not going to give the right number. For somebody that's planning, or thinking that he's getting these urges to commit, I don't know, 1 homicide, 2 homicide, 4, I don't know. Would he have the wherewithal to give a wrong phone number? Or did the police officer write it down wrong? Did he ask, here, go ahead and put your name, number on the side, sign it here, put your phone number and everything, and Bryan just filled it all out? Did he verbally give it? Did he write down the wrong number? Did he verbally give the wrong number? But why is this the only body cam in the saga around the Idaho 4 case that we have not seen? Is it part of evidence? Is that why it's, they're using it in evidence? Because it's part of how they got to Bryan. They were able to see that he was in the system, saw that he had the phone number. So that's part of why, it's never surfaced. But it doesn't, it has nothing to do though with why are there 2 typos in the probable cause affidavit with that number? That's not his number, very, very interesting, right? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a minute. Wanted to update you guys. So I'm just going to run down. I know a lot of people have been asking, what is this case, the Drake Moore case? Well, I went ahead and I pulled out the filing from May 28th, 2024. And it's Jennifer Drake's filing from her counsel. And so what I'm going to do here really quick, we're going to be jumping back and forth, but this is just, let's see. I want to zoom in here. But here we go. So Jennifer Drake is the wife of Bryan Drake, who was shot in Bonners Ferry, which is in Idaho. And so she filed a wrongful death suit on a case that never made it to trial, on a case that Dr. Daniel A. Moore made a false confession after asking for a lawyer, I don't even know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. So I'm just going to read these facts as is. So the plaintiff here is Jennifer Drake. So she realleges and incorporates by reference the allegations in the above paragraphs as true. So let's just make that a little lighter. This little light of mine. There you guys go. So at all times relevant here too, Drake Chiropractic of North Idaho maintained offices in Hayden, Sandpoint, and Bonners Ferry. Drake Chiropractic opened the office in Bonners Ferry in 2014. Bryan Drake was the sole provider of chiropractic treatments for Drake Chiropractic. He had many patients who appreciated him as a chiropractor and as a person. So defendant Daniel L. Moore registered Moore Chiropractic as an assumed business name with the Idaho Secretary of State in 2001. So Daniel L. Moore and his wife formed Moore Chiropractic in 2010 by filing articles of incorporation with the Idaho Secretary of State. The corporation was administratively dissolved in 2011. At all times relevant here too, defendant Daniel L. Moore operated Moore Chiropractic and maintained his office in Bonners Ferry, Idaho. The office of Moore Chiropractic is located on Main Street in Bonners Ferry, and it's approximately 500 feet to the north of the office building where Drake Chiropractic was located. I mean, I have no idea how these people do their math skills over there in Idaho, but if this is 500 feet, like, I want someone to get out there and roll it. Anyways, in the small community of Bonners Ferry, Idaho, Moore Chiropractic and Drake Chiropractic were essentially business competitors. Again, remember, this is what the plaintiff is alleging. Competitors. Wow. It's been a minute since I read this. Prior to March 12, 2020, that's the day of the murder, defendant Daniel Lee Moore had lost at least 30 patients to Drake Chiropractic. I can't wait till they try to prove that. Okay. On March 12, 2020, Bryan Drake was working in Bonners Ferry office of Drake Chiropractic. This office was located in a building on Main Street in Bonners Ferry. The office consisted of 2 rooms, a large outer waiting room, and a smaller exam room where Bryan saw patients. The exam room had an exam table, a small desk, and a stool. There was a window in the exam room that was on the southwest wall of the building. The office building was adjacent to the building where Far North Coffee Lodge is located. The space between the 2 buildings is a drive-through for the Far North Coffee Lodge. It's not just a drive-through, okay, for this coffee lodge. It's also just to drive back and park in the back where Bryan's office was, as well as Kip Hartman and whoever else was renting at the time. At or around 7:17 p.m. on March 12, 2020, plaintiff Jennifer Drake was on the phone with Bryan. She was at home in Hayden, Idaho, and Bryan was in the exam room of the office. I don't know how they're going to prove that he was in the exam room of the office at 7:17. And that plaintiff Jennifer Drake was on the phone with Bryan. She was at home in Hayden. And just so we're clear, Hayden to Bonners Ferry is like an hour and a half. It's 71 miles. Okay, on the evening of March 12, 2020, defendant Daniel Lee Moore was driving his white four-door 2019 Toyota Tundra in Bonners Ferry. Defendant Daniel Lee Moore was circling the block where the Drake Chiropractic office was located, including driving down the drive-through of Far North Coffee Lodge. In the time frame, this is where it gets interesting for me as a timeline guru. Now, this was amended 5/28/2024 was amended. So in the time frame between 6:42, it's just like, where's this number coming from? And 7:17 p.m. Eyewitnesses? Who are these eyewitnesses? Reported that they saw a white large pickup truck stopped in the drive-thru of Far North Coffee Lodge. You know, sometimes you just got to go back to the base, or like to the beginning, to just remind yourself of a couple different things, which is, let's go back and take a look at that complaint again. This is huge. Sorry, we're wrapping up from a bomb-ass birthday day. Jackson's birthday was today, all day. Back at it. Here we go. So, who are these eyewitnesses? Is like plural. So, wait, 6:42 p.m. Where's that coming from? You know, in the time frame between 6:42 p.m. and 7:17 p.m., eyewitnesses reported that they saw a white, large pickup truck stopped in the drive-thru of Far North Coffee Lodge. After circling the block, The defendant, Daniel Lee Moore, then parked his truck at Moore Chiropractic, exited the truck with his gun, and walked down the drive-through between Far North Coffee Lodge and the Drake Chiropractic office building. Whoa. When? What time? Like between like this time and this time? Like, okay, we'll just continue. 23. Defendant Daniel Lee Moore proceeded down the drive-through and to the window of the exam room of the Drake Chiropractic office. Brian Drake was still inside the office talking to Jennifer on the phone. Brian Drake was sitting on a stool and had his back to the window where Daniel Lee Moore was standing outside. Defendant Daniel Lee Moore fired a shot through the window, striking Brian Drake in the back. Jennifer was still on the phone with Brian when he was shot. Brian told Jennifer he thought someone had shot him through the window and then stopped responding to Jennifer. Jennifer called 911 to report what had happened. Brian Drake died almost immediately. Whoa, what a shot. What a sharpshooter. From the gunshot wound. Brian was only 45 years old. After shooting Brian, defendant Daniel Lee Moore fled the scene. On August 27, 2020, defendant Daniel Lee Moore was arrested. He confessed to investigators that he shot through the window to scare Brian Drake, and that after the shooting, he fled the scene and disposed of the gun by throwing it into the river. Defendant Daniel Lee Moore was charged with second-degree murder for the fatal shooting of Brian Drake. The end. Remember, this is a civil case. The end. Well, what happened? Was he found guilty of murder? Was he found guilty of like second-degree murder, first-degree murder? What happened? Oh, wait, that's right, guys. This false confession gets thrown out of here. Okay? And they attempted to have probable cause to arrest Daniel Lee Moore. I think not once but twice. And they couldn't even get the minimal standard of probable cause to arrest him with what they allege is all this evidence against him. They sent 4 dive teams into the water and no gun, no ammo, no nothing. Okay, so that's this is, again, it's called a complaint. Okay. Amended verified complaint and demand for jury trial. Okay. And this was filed, whatever date here, 5/28/2024. It was originally filed, though, 11/2020. Okay. She filed this before, or like 2 months after the arrest of Daniel Lee Moore. Okay. Okay. So the claims are wrongful death. Okay. Count 2 is negligent infliction of emotional distress. Then you have count 3, intentional infliction of emotional distress. And count 4, tortious interference with prospective economic advantage. And then you have damage, limitation, and punitive damages. So the conduct of defendant Daniel Lee Moore was negligent, reckless, malicious, and or undertaken with criminal intent. Such conduct constitutes willful or reckless misconduct and or acts which would constitute a felony under Idaho state law, making the limitation of the award a non-economic damages pursuant to, and this was added. This is why she amended it, because Jennifer Drake wanted to add punitive damages and to go for the gusto. Okay. Jennifer Drake was awarded $1 million on a life insurance policy that they had. It paid out within 3 weeks of his murder. And sources say that Jennifer Drake called life insurance between the time of Bryan Drake's murder 13 times. So, all right. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much. Let's take a look over here. Kim's been a member for, what do we got here, Kim? Lana Brands never gives up. Happy birthday to Jax. You know it. 11 months, baby girl. Auntie Bev. What is good? Cheers. Cheers, big ears. Oh, thank you. I hope this one counts. Love this girl. I was number 59 sub when you first started. Oh, wow. There you go. Whee! Yeah, yeah. K. Smith, baby. Miss your face, miss your writing. There you go. Typical, unique. Member for 16 months. Look out. Love your work and humor. Somebody, thank you so much. My humor has been saving me these past couple days. Again, K. Smith 1214. Member for 19 months. I love the number 19. Bet it all on 19. Okay. Now, so the crazy part of this case is that nobody has been charged or recharged for the murder of Bryan Drake. There's been no facts presented. A jury of anybody's peers, nobody has been found guilty of this homicide. So it would be still considered an open active investigation. Well, at some point between November 2020 and roughly, I think, 2022, Jennifer Drake, the widow, and normally in a relationship, when your spouse is murdered, the spouse is prime suspect number one until you can rule them out. And in this situation, the Idaho State Police, some of them the same in the Idaho 4 case, you'd have to ask them why they would give Jennifer Drake the criminal discovery. So Idaho State Police handed over Jennifer Drake the criminal discovery. Yeah, so think about everything that Ann Taylor has, okay? Everything, the criminal discovery, Idaho State Police. I shouldn't say everything, because, who knows what they've had, after the date when they would have ever given her whatever. But they provided her with the criminal discovery. That's crazy. No question, no comment, just pure love up in this piece. Oh, thank you. Woohoo! So, now, do we know who specifically did that? I don't know. Okay. Now, let's see. When Jennifer Drake filed this back in November of 2020, Dan Moore and his wife, Karen, you have to do an answer to a complaint. Well, not only did they do an answer to the complaint, but they also then, by and through their attorney, Jill Bolton at the time, they filed a countersuit. So they countersued Jennifer Drake. Okay. it's a very interesting, very wild filing. I mean, probably one of the most juiciest civil filings I've ever read in my life. I mean, we're talking just straight up out of a damn movie script. Wild type shit. Anyways, basically, Dan Moore's lawyer writes up this, types up this counter, and it is like the police never investigated Jennifer Drake. The police never basically investigated, period. And I mean, Jill Bolton went at the police, went at Jennifer Drake, saying that she was the number one suspect who had the most motive to kill her husband. Okay. The amount of lies that Jennifer Drake got caught with, talking to the police during the first, week or two of the investigation, that's going to come out in the civil suit. The lies that were told. Very, very critical lies. I mean, when you're asked if you've had any problems in your marriage and you say, no, not to my knowledge. Well, in the past, no. I mean, and here it's going to come out that you were separated for 30 plus days. It could have been on one or two occasions. Your husband was caught cheating. A bunch of things, porn addiction. I mean, you name it. You name it. In this case, it's coming out. So much so that Bryan Drake, and it's admitted to in the interviews, during the police interviews back in the beginning, Bryan Drake drugged his wife Jennifer with Ambien and then was like taking naked pictures of her. I mean, what? What? You guys, that's pretty wild, right? Then they're having like swingers, they're doing swinging things, but then they're like all about their Christian views and the Bible. And the stuff that's gonna, like, it's just wild. Okay. But the police did absolutely nothing to investigate this case. So much so that in the complaint, or the answer rather, it's like the police just basically let Jennifer Drake run this investigation. Literally run the investigation. She was, putting it in the ears that this was another chiropractor that did this. And I think the woman probably, mentioned off 5 to 6 people's names at different points. Never once was it Dan Moore's name ever mentioned. And it's just wild. The Drakes had a camera at their house. You would think that somebody would go get that, right? No. So anyways, fast forward to, you guys, civil litigating is, you don't have like I have my right to my attorney. Like, no, you have to go pay for attorneys. Okay. Or you're doing this by yourself type thing. In a criminal case, you can have a public defender, to defend you and your rights and your interests and all those things. But civil, no. So what? Oh. So long story short, what ends up happening is, because of the criminal case, just like the Karen Reed case, back in 2020, right before it became 2021, Dan Moore's attorneys, because he was facing this criminal charge, they got a motion to stay the case until after the criminal case was handled, because you have the right to plead the fifth, you have the right to not self-incriminate, and when there is ever a criminal case that's going at the same time as a civil case, you're going to get that civil case 9.9 out of 10 times stayed, which means we're not going to go forward with that until after the criminal case is handled. Okay. That was the same with this case. The civil case was stayed. So then in 2021, they had a hearing again where they had a suppression. Like, they basically had the confession thrown out due to Miranda violations. It was also said that Dan was coerced into his confession. He was basically fed this narrative. Okay. If you actually go and you listen to everything that he ever says literally was fed to him at some point during the investigation. Or during like rumor mill, like Bonners Ferry is so tiny that everything that was like spoke about, this was like nothing that the killer could have only known type of shit. Okay. So this gets stayed, but here, then the criminal case, they're like, okay, well, we're throwing out the confession. And if that's all you have, what's your probable cause? What are you going to put up? Well, they put up this probable cause affidavit, which without the confession, it doesn't even meet probable cause. And we're talking about this fucking whoever white truck this is. I don't know if it's his. I don't know whose it is. But everything you could possibly muster up that you're going to put up against this man, the Idaho State Police could not obtain probable cause to arrest him. And probable cause is like the minimum of minimum standards. All right. So they couldn't even do it then. Then they appeal it. They take it to the Supreme Court. They appeal it. The Supreme Court upholds that it was a Miranda violation and you're never using that confession. So that confession can never be used against him if, for God forbid, he should ever get picked up for the murder. Okay. But if it's a civil case, that confession can be used in terms of for like impeachment purposes. So how I understand it is that if you were asked, did you kill Brian Drake? No, I didn't kill Brian Drake. But didn't you tell police that you did? And so it's going to be dependent on how you want to answer that question. I know how I would answer that question. How would you answer that question? Well, didn't you tell police that you killed him? Also, people are like, well, why can't he just plead the fifth? You can plead the fifth, but in a criminal case, and I said, you know what? It doesn't even matter. In a criminal case, people don't take the stand, right? It's like pleading the fifth, right? I'm not going to take the stand. In a civil case, the opposing party can call you as a witness, all right? And then you could still plead the fifth, but the difference is supposed to be that in a criminal case, you can't hold that against the person if they don't take the stand, okay? But in a civil case, you can take a negative inference from it. You can, you're allowed to, as a juror, say, okay, well, that's shady as hell that he just wants to stand up there and plead the fifth, okay? So the jury can use that, to knock his credibility. Murky says, I told them what they kept wanting to hear, hounding me. I say the tape speaks for itself. The rulings speak for themselves. The tape speaks for itself. But here we are. Okay. The eve of trial. So in 2022, Jennifer Drake, because this gets thrown out in 2021, right? Dan Moore and his wife try to get back into the community in Bonners Ferry and try to start okay, he's going to see patients again. He's a chiropractor, he's loved in the community. Nope. Who wants to go see a chiropractor when someone's trying to bash you saying that you're a murderer and you're out freaking on bail or you're out free and, I want to go have somebody work on me with their hands, that's a killer. Right? A lot of shit. Like they were basically ran out of that town. Okay. And Dan Moore eventually he lost his business. A very, very successful chiropractic business that he started up, and he's been a chiropractor for his whole entire life. He was a chiropractor in California before he moved to Idaho. So on paper, when you want to talk about the two businesses and being competitors, it's not even a competition. On paper, Brian Drake's business brought in after the bills, like after the write-offs, what you claim in taxes, $30,000 a year is what Brian Drake's business looks like it brings in. On paper, more chiropractic is like 10 times that, if not more. Get it? Pun intended. If not mo. So this was no competition here. Nobody was competing here. Brian traveled around to all the different areas. Also, I want to know if it's going to come up, but Brian, as far as I know, he did not have a license to practice in Montana. Brian was driving to Montana, okay, and doing chiropractic work in Montana. So I want to know how that's going to hold up. Just in terms of just like, well, here's somebody that clearly wasn't reporting the money that they made to the government. Here's somebody that didn't have a license, was seeing patients in Montana. Okay. There is no 30 patients that like left or, anything like that. We're talking about on a daily basis, Dr. Moore seeing, I don't know, anywhere between like 50 and 65 patients a day, herding them in and out like cattle, I say. And Brian's lucky to have, I don't know, 15. So what is up? I saw my girl. Where's she at? What's up, girl? So give her a shout out. Go check her out. Excited Utterance. What's good? What time is it where you're at? I'm just curious. So yes, in civil, it is completely different, but here's where a situation comes into play. And now this is where I think the laws need to change a little bit. Okay. This is where the laws need to change a little bit. This case is hanging over Dan Moore's head. Okay. And at any point in time, because it was dismissed without prejudice. Okay. So it's dismissed without prejudice. And that means at any point in time, charges can be refiled on you. All right. And, well, here, the first time we went around and round and round, Dan Moore never lawyered up. Anytime that they came around wanting to talk to him or, even that day, that this whole unfortunate confession happened on August 27th. This man who's never got a parking ticket in his life, never been in trouble with the law, doesn't even know. He's just like, why would I need a lawyer? Like, we didn't do anything. What are you guys talking about? Why would we get an attorney? Like that type of stuff. Like think about like these little areas, Bonner's Fair. Come on, there's like 3,000 people that live in that town. What? At the time the man's 64 years old, 63 years old. All right. He's on his way to retirement. They just bought their dream home. This man, there's no competition here. Nobody's taking out freaking doctors because, oh my God, you stole 30 patients. Let's even say that was true, which it's not, but that is absurd. Okay. It's absolutely absurd. So anyways, this case the stay should have never been lifted, but Jennifer Drake pushes forward and she wants this stay lifted. Okay. And then the only way that you can make money off of Dan and Karen Moore is if you lift the stay and represent them, and you can make money in representing this civil case, So back in 2023, Jennifer Drake was wanting the stay to be lifted. And remember, Judge Buchanan said, no, until this criminal case comes and there's a conclusion, this stay will always be in place until there is a conclusion with the criminal case, as it should be, right? Well, I have no idea what happened, but back in 2023, the Moore's attorney, Jill Bolton, at the time, did a no objection to the stay being lifted. All she had to do was file an objection to it, and that stay would have stayed in place. She filed a quote unquote no objection to the stay being lifted. Then 2023, so there was a trial date. I can't remember if it was in the summer or there was a summer trial date, but then that got pushed back to January of 2024, and that got pushed back. Okay. Then there was a new trial date in the summer of 2024, and right before that trial date, Jill Bolton filed to withdraw. Peter Erblin, who is Jennifer's attorney, he had no problem with the withdrawal. And in my opinion, because you can object to that, because trial was not that far out. In my opinion, Peter Erblin was like, no, we're going to have no objection to this because I don't want to go up against Jill Bolton. Jill Bolton is one of the best in Idaho. Okay. Like, hands down, she was suing the police. She knows exactly what happened in this case. Minus if she had a little bit more of my work, she would be able to connect the final couple dots. But at least we have it now because of the cameras. But Peter Erblin, Jennifer Drake's attorney, was like, I don't want to go up against Jill Bolton. Okay. She's one of the best. Like, we're okay with her withdrawing. So let this get continued out, even if it's, 3 months, 6 months. We don't want to go up against Jill Bolton. Okay. So back in, May of 2024, right? Yeah, May of 2024, this withdrawal gets approved. And then the Moores have, like anything, you have 21 days to either get new counsel or, you can go pro se. All right. 21 days. There's a guy by the name of Jeff Boiler, who is an attorney out of Oregon and Idaho. He did the library case, which we are going to talk about, you guys, in Bonners Ferry. They had this library, they still have the library, but the library was running after hours with the librarian, and she had a pole set up down there, and she was doing she was doing pole dancing. She was streaming herself live, doing all kinds of crazy shit. Then I guess there were some children's books that had nudity. I don't know. It was freaking wild. Okay. Well, anyways, this guy, Jeff Boiler, he was one of the attorneys in this whole big freaking library, whatever mess. All right. I'm telling you guys, Google it. Google Bonners Ferry Library. All right. CNN picked it up. I'll show you guys some clips. All right. It's fucking insane. I'll show you guys some clips. All right. So it divided this little town. When I talk Bonners Ferry, 3,000, 4,000 people, I'm not kidding. And so you were either all about the one side or you were all about the other side. Okay. And it literally was ripping to shreds this town. And then it started bringing out people calling each other witches. I mean, it's a fucking mess. All right. Well, Jeff Boiler, he was a name that was involved in this because it had something to do with his daughter. Anyways, the Moores end up getting this relationship with Jeff Boiler. This is where it gets crazy. Jeff Boiler's like, I have someone I want to recommend to you guys. Okay. Jeff Boiler doesn't realize that, oh my gosh, the guy that I want to use where he's going to sit second chair, he's out in Europe, so he can't take it, but he recommended, this other person. And I'll talk to them and I'll see what's up because there was a game plan put in place. All right. All of the expert witnesses were in place, the investigators, the researchers, everybody was the dream team was there. You just need a strong litigator to go into the courtroom and litigate. All right. So Dana Bose and Matt Dugan end up meeting up with they end up talking to Jeff Boiler. Okay, this is at the end, like May 20th, May 15th, something like that, of 2024. Jeff Boiler is supposed to be on this team. You guys, he all of a sudden, like whatever Father's Day weekend would have been in that June, he fucking dies. He literally dies. Literally dies. In fact, I had just had a a Zoom meeting with him 2 weeks before he just died. Unbelievable. You know how you always want to make sure you have people that are always have like your best interest and look out and make sure, like, you guys, I see left and right elderly people getting taken advantage of with like anything and everything, right? Especially when it comes to technology. Like, people don't know it, you can get scammed, all this shit. Well, this day and age, if you got to man your emails, you got to you better have the capabilities to Zoom, you better have your computer out. If you're going to be involved with the law and doing a lawsuit, and like, you better have some really good lawyers that aren't going to take advantage of you, or you better have some help, like legal aids. I mean, something. Otherwise, how do people that have never done stuff like that before, like, you're just supposed to explain to them, like, they have no idea what's going on? None. What I've never met people in my life that are more concerned about, wait, does that person really think that I don't like them? Or why would they ever say those things? But I don't even understand what's going on. We've never done it. Like, we're so kind. Oh, is that person upset? Well, I don't want them to be upset. Why are they upset? I'm just like, whoa, who gives a fuck? So I'm like, stop caring about these people's feelings. They don't care about yours. No. So anyways, but I've just had to sit back and I'm just like, wow. But this is all about humanity, right? Like, it's like these people generally are just like, we don't even know what's going on. We don't get it. So when we ask questions, it's like, or then like when we start understanding things and like we get our case and we're trying to explain it to somebody, like, why aren't they doing anything? What should happen? Like, wait, I don't understand. Was our lawyer supposed to attend a deposition? Well, why didn't they attend? Aren't they supposed to attend? Well, I don't know. When you pay somebody $200,000 flat rate fee for 7 months worth of work, I would think they would be licking my asshole. Okay. Hopefully you guys spit out your drink on that one. I want you to, but so here we are, the Moors get repped, and it's like, we have innocent clients. These people are factually innocent. And there's evidence that's literally right at your fingertips. And all the work was done. Jill Bolton did all the work, minus closing out a handful of depositions, and maybe a couple subpoenas. But Jill Bolton did all the work. And trust me, guys, if I was to throw a price tag on how much I think it cost, I would say Jill Bolton, it had to cost close to $500,000. Okay. Remember, the Moors they did a federal case against if you guys just type up, Google, Moore versus Bonners Ferry, Moore versus Idaho State Police. So here we are, right around the holidays. And anybody that's been following my channel, I've done a lot of research on this case, a shit ton. And I started this case because of the Idaho 4 case, because I knew the Idaho 4 case was going to take a little time with all the fuckerage, but I knew something was up in Idaho. I was like, this seems like it's pretty inept work. Like, what's is it an IQ thing? Like, or are we just corrupt? Or are we just dumb? Like, are we like, was the Drake Moore case an isolated incident here where you just have a bunch of idiots? But no, it's not. And you have to ask yourself, it's either like these people are really truly inept and they just don't know what they're doing, and here they're running investigations, or it's something more sinister. Okay. But when you explain it to somebody, maybe for like a second, they kind of be like, wait, that can't be, or you're crazy, but when you fine tune it all, and then you're like, listen, I have surveillance cameras, I have interviews, I have it all in chronological order, exactly how that day went down, exactly where everybody was and who lied and who didn't, and the inconsistencies. But the bottom line is there is surveillance cameras that prove that a huge, big portion of this is an absolute fucking lie. And it can be easily proven. But everybody forgets, though, that Dan Moore has he has an alibi witness, the coroner. Okay? Let me explain this to you guys. When we talk about Bryan Kohberger's alibi, and we're talking about technology, people are like, whatever. I'm like, technology, hey, come on. In this day and age, you want it. But Dan Moore has an alibi witness in the fact that he was with the coroner, and they have a scanner because he works for the fire department. He has all the scanner, pager, all that crap. And that thing just runs constantly. So when anybody calls 911, all right, that freaking scanner goes off like freaking, God, it's so annoying, right? But until you get used to it, it's just like, whatever. It's just, white noise. It's just there. Well, on the night of the murder, okay, where Dan Moore's office is and where Brian Drake's office is, they want to say is 500 feet. Well, then they're probably going to put the coroner's house, because he lives right next to the funeral home that he ran. Then that's like 700 feet. Okay. And Dan and this coroner, Mick, they were like really close friends. They would hang out all the time. Karen, couples, how they hang out and do shit. So the night of the murder, when Isaac Funderburg called 911 to report hearing gunshots and then seeing a guy run after where he, heard the gunshots and the guy's coming up along Drake's building, and he like runs. Well, that goes over the scanner because Isaac Funderburg calls in and says, he can't say I saw somebody shoot somebody. He's calling in saying where he's at. He's like, I'm over here by Les Schwab. It's across the way from that. And I don't know if it was like one shot or two shots. I don't know if it was just an echo, but somebody shot off, it sounds like a shot, a gun. I know what a gun sounds like. And I don't know if it was one or two shots. And then this guy looked really suspicious because right afterwards I had seen him walk, and he was wearing all black. And so that's what goes out to the dispatch people, like when he had called. Well, then that goes out over, after he called the dispatch to talk to the 911 person, she then puts that over the airwaves. And so here, Mick Millett, who's the coroner, he took a polygraph back in the day in 2020. Took a fucking polygraph. He's like, Dan was with me. He was with me. You know how I know? Because when the pager went off, we're sitting there talking, and he's with me when the pager went off, and it's saying shots fired in the South Hill area. It's like, wait, what? Okay. He passes a damn polygraph. He was with the coroner. So false confessions are a real thing. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the Innocence Project. DNA is a real thing. Surveillance cameras, technology, all of this shit. But here, if you actually listen to what the coroner says and listen to this timeline, it's like, okay, well, how could that be? How could that be? Oh, he's got to be lying for him. He's got to be lying for him. No, actually just watch the videotapes. The only people that are lying here are the eyewitnesses. Let's go back to this right here. This is hilarious to me when you go back and you read this. This time frame. Well, that old gunshots, it blows up the narrative that at 7:26, when she's talking to her husband, notice how they don't talk about the time of the shot here, but thank God it's, we have the police interviews, and Jennifer said it was at the end of their phone call at 7:26, and that's when Bryan said he had been shot. Well, that kind of blows up when the pager and the scanner go out like 30 to 45 minutes before that. Boom! All these Eldora Gatchel, Caleb Cohen Azara, Jennifer Drake, they by the evidence, I believe, will show that they worked in concert. And normally when a wife kills her husband, they usually don't do it themselves. They usually have somebody else do it. It's kind of like a Shanna Gardner type thing where, okay, why is Shanna Gardner arrested for murder for Jerry Bridegan, her ex-husband? We know for a fact Shanna Gardner didn't shoot him, right? But she was conspiracy to commit murder, right? Setting it all up. This would be no different. And this timeline goes to shreds. It's literally shredded. The other thing is that the eyewitness that said that they saw this truck driving to the drive-through here, I have surveillance camera and I showed it. The white truck doesn't arrive until after Eldora Gatchel takes her happy fat the fuck ass up out of there, allegedly because she's in this pilot, and she's already gone from the crime scene, what they're labeling as the crime scene, and the white truck comes 2 minutes after Eldora's pilot leaves. But when she's interviewed by police, she says that she sees the white truck and that it's just sitting up there blocking the drive-through, and that therefore she had to leave a different way out of Drake's place. Well, I don't know how somebody can possibly foresee the future, because that pilot leaves before the white truck ever comes around there. You know what that tells me? That tells me that Eldora Gatchel didn't leave in the pilot, and that she is still at the building, and that she left in a different vehicle. Because how do you know if there's even a white truck that comes there after your Honda Pilot that you just, supposedly left in, and you're gone for 2 minutes at least? Nowhere to be found, all the way down 95, heading back south. So I'm over here being passionate about, dude, this is just simple. I mean, how the hell does Idaho State Police put together a PowerPoint presentation and omit this? They literally take out the fact that Eldora Gatchel leaves before the white truck comes. You cannot see a white truck if you are in a vehicle that leaves before a white truck arrives. Does anybody, do people in Idaho that are on the police department, do they struggle with chronological order of events when watching a camera? This would mean that Eldora Gatchel, who's with her brother, Caleb Cohen Azara, they are Hawaiian. The eyewitness says that the guy had dark skin. He had all black on. He had a gray vest, a beanie, and facial hair. To a T, that is what Caleb Cohen Azara was wearing that night. Now, you sit here and tell me how you do not depose 4 detectives during a civil case. The Idaho State Police, 4 detectives that had everything to do with this portion of the case. to ask them, did you not realize that Eldora Gatchel had, lied to you? Or how did you think she got home if the pilot's leaving, but yet she's able to see this white truck? Did you not notice that would be a problem? How did you possibly put together a PowerPoint that was in a affidavit for the arrest of somebody? I mean, you're lying in your PCA. And then that gets me thinking about the Bryan Kohberger case. And I'm like, that PCA is so full of fucking shit, so full of lies, and all about a car that's just circling, right? Circling. Okay, now I'm just going to walk, and now I'm going to park somewhere else, go walk in on foot, and then walk back to my vehicle, and then get out, It's the same type of shit. So here we are. I'm pumping out all this crap. People in Bonners Ferry are calling me. People in Bonner County, people in Coeur d'Alene, Hayden, you name it. People are reaching out left and right to say, oh my God, I have more information I want to give you. Or, can I be anonymous? I got people related to the other side of the case calling me to give me information because after what I've put out there, they're like, oh my God, we had no idea. And this man is totally innocent. He was totally framed. But I think now I possess some information that I didn't know was what it was back then. Because we always just believed certain things. Okay. So let me ask you a question. After everything I just told you guys, and that it can be proven, okay, what attorney would ever not defend and lay out this case exactly for what it is? An inept investigation, and if it would have been done correctly, the first 4 to 6 days, this case would have been solved like that. Like literally. Eldora Gatchel took notes and was sitting with investigators saying, let me take a look at my notes. What? They're interviewing people with 3 and 4 people with them. Have you ever heard of such a thing? I've never heard of such a thing. There's cameras, eyewitness statements, and literally, where is the 911 calls? I did FOIAs for all these 911 calls. They don't exist. There is not a Hayden 911 call. It does not exist. There is no call in Jennifer Drake's phone records that she ever called 911 from her cell phone. That is with the extraction. That is with the CDRs. That is with everything. It's very easy to clone a phone. So if I know that the cops are going to, want to take my phone from me, all right? What cell phone did I use to call 911? Because it's not on the cell phone that you turned in. But you say that you called 911. I mean, how's that possible? Crazy, huh? Then the CAD notes are all out of order. It's like they took 2 separate CADs for 2 separate incidences and they combined them into one. Because Isaac Funderburg's phone records, they should go and take a look at those. Where's the 911 call? What time did his 911 call come in? Let's take a look at those cell towers. Very interesting cell towers. So anyways, we get to the point of just a week ago when, I don't even know if it was a week ago, 6 days ago, that the Moores were informed that their lawyers withdrew. They're withdrawing. Okay? So where this case stands is that 6 days ago, they get a letter, an email, whatever, saying that they're withdrawing from the case. on the eve of trial. Trial starts, I don't know, January 23rd for jury selection of 2025. Okay? The Moores were requesting, I don't know, like 5 depositions be done. And I think it's all law enforcement, maybe just 1 or 2 people that aren't. Okay. How are you? They got paid $200,000. Who gets paid $200,000 to take a case to trial, and that's what you say you're going to do, and you're going to be like their workhorse, and they're not going to have to worry about anything anymore, and then they got hosed so bad by Jill and all these things. How do you do this to 67-year-old people? So 67-year-old. It's like, wait, what? You're withdrawing? What do you mean you're withdrawing? What do you mean you're withdrawing? How are you withdrawing? Because we want to go to trial, and we want to show that we didn't do this, and we want to show what has happened to us and how we've been ostracized for the past however many years. Like, nothing has changed. Dan Moore is always is going to have this stigma around a false confession. When you took the case in May, you knew that there was a false confession. What has possibly changed from the time that you took $200,000 and made it earned on receipt, non-refundable, to present day? Like, what has changed? The case hasn't changed at all. Look at the docket. There's been these attorneys have not filed one motion, have not held their own deposition, blew off the alibi witness's deposition in November. How is any of this okay, right? Well, but hey, do you want to go to trial with no attorney or attorneys? So where's this shit? Here it is. These are the filings that happened on Thursday or Friday, December, whatever, 12th or 13th. It was a motion to withdraw and a motion to shorten time. Okay. So comes now Matthew Dugan and Dana Bose, attorneys of record for the above named defendant, and hereby respectfully move the court for an order that the time required for service of her motion for leave to withdraw be shortened so that this matter may be heard at the next scheduled hearing date of December 18, 2024, before the Honorable Judge Jensen. This motion is made for the reasons and upon the grounds as follows. Plaintiffs will not be prejudiced in any way by this motion being heard, as it does not interfere with other hearings set for later in the year. Wait, these are attorneys for the defendant, and they just want to make sure that the plaintiffs will not be prejudiced in any way by this motion being heard, as it does not interfere with other hearings set for later in the year. There's one hearing set later in the year. It's December 18th. At the time of this filing, it's December 12th. The year ends in December. There's only one hearing set. It's December 31st for a motion lemony. And then this is absolute wild. Motion for leave to withdraw. Comes now Matt Dugan and Dana Bose, attorneys of record for the above named defendants, and hereby respectfully move the court for an order granting counsel leave to withdraw as attorney of record for said defendants. Well, there's a huge problem with this. Okay. The motion is made pursuant to IRCP Rule 11.3b. And upon the Idaho Rules of Professional Conduct, Rule 1.2, Comment 2, and 1.16, declining or terminating representation, sections B 4-7, which includes the client and attorney suffer from vast and substantive disagreements that unable to resolve, particularly with technical, legal, and tactical matters. B, the client insists upon taking action, which with the lawyers has a fundamental disagreement. We have a fundamental disagreement to attend depositions. I mean, yeah, I think we probably do, but the client fails. I mean, these are 67-year-olds. The client fails substantially to fulfill an obligation to the lawyer regarding the lawyer's services. They got paid $200,000 up front. They have to be given reasonable warning that the lawyer will withdraw unless the obligation is fulfilled. The client and attorney are unable to have authentic, direct communication. What? The attorney-client relationship is irretrievable. I can't even read this. It's like a picture on top of a picture. It's broken. I always just say it's irreconcilable, right? And continues to decline daily. Other good cause for withdrawal exists. This motion is made based on the grounds set forth herein. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so, well, I mean, holy shit, that was filed on December 12th, 2024. With a hearing, I mean, with the trial date, January 23rd for, it starts jury selection on January 23rd. Then it's set for like, I don't know, like a 9 or 10 day trial. Okay. So we then get to, let's see. I gotta give kudos to Mrs. Moore because I don't know who pulled this off or how they did any of this, but kudos. Let's see. I'm going to, but at the, I would say 11th hour. So this was a hearing that was set for, it was filed on December 12th, 2024 at like, well, 2:17, 2:19, West Coast time. So like 5:19, East Coast. And so like they got to show up to like this hearing, Well, I got my hands on this filing. There's 3 of them. They're pretty much the same thing. I think there's just maybe like wording is different. I don't know. But Karen Moore put 3 objections in today. Jane Doe. Karen Moore at the 11th hour realized that she was not represented by Counsel Duggan, I don't know, and Bose, that she was not represented by them. And so, let's see. Defendant objects to improper notice pursuant to IRCP 7B3A. Comes now defendant Jane Doe and hereby objects to Movin's motion for leave to withdraw filed December 12th, 2024. And notice for hearing dated December 18th, 2024, based on the following. Number 1, insufficient notice. The motion for leave to withdraw does not provide sufficient notice to defendant to adequately prepare a response according to IRCP 7B3A. a written motion, affidavits supporting the motion, memoranda or briefs supporting the motion, if any and all. If a hearing is requested, the notice of hearing for the motion must be filed with the court and served so as to be received by the parties at least 14 days prior to the day designated for the hearing. Defendant received notice 3 business days prior to hearing date. Number 2, incorrect information on motion to shorten time. Movement filed a contemporaneous motion to shorten time on December 12th, 2024, at the same time of Movement's motion for leave to withdraw. Movement identified within their motion to shorten time an incorrect date as it pertained to the next hearing scheduled date in connection with the above captioned case. On December 12, 2024, Movement incorrectly submitted within their motion to shorten time December 18th, 2024 as the next scheduled hearing date for the above captioned case. The court record is what defendant will rely on to demonstrate to the courts that there was never any scheduled hearing slated for December 18th, 2024 at the time Movement submitted their motion to shorten time, thereby purposely misleading the tribunal in their filing and attempting to prejudice defendant Jane Doe. The party's next scheduled hearing date can be properly identified as December 31st, 2024. Defendant is requesting to set Movement's motion to be heard on their motion to withdraw on that next hearing date, December 31st, 2024. Number 3, prejudice to defendants. Allowing the scheduled hearing to commence on December 18th, 2024 would prejudice defendant Jane Doe by not allowing adequate time to gather necessary evidence and prepare a thorough response with representation and guidance from an Idaho licensed competent lawyer as to preserve the court record and defendant's right to due process. Damn, Karen. Kudos, Karen. Hopefully she went to legal aid. Lack of good cause, number 4. The motion fails to demonstrate good cause as to why Movement's motion for leave to withdraw was scheduled only 3 business days after Movement's filing to be heard on motion to withdraw. The motion and notice of hearing date are one and the same, December 12, 2024, 2:19 p.m. PST and 5:19 p.m. EST. Movement recklessly provided an incorrect future hearing date, which only served Movement's best interests. However, it is not lost on defendants that Movement notes on their motion to shorten time that they were attempting to give consideration to plaintiff's interest while completely disregarding the same consideration for defendants, their current clients. What? Okay. Number 5, compliance with court rules. The objection is made in compliance with IRCP 7, which allows for objections to motions that do not meet the required notice periods and response period. Case law. Oh, shit. Movement's motion to withdraw in concert with their notice and motion to shorten time are collectively a violation of defendants' constitutional rights pursuant to the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution and Article 1, Section 13 of the Idaho State Constitution. The right to procedural due process requires that when a constitutionally protected interest is at stake, a person involved in the judicial process be given meaningful notice and a meaningful opportunity to be heard, and that judicial proceedings be fundamentally fair. State versus Blair, state versus whatever. The opportunity to be heard must occur at a meaningful time and in a meaningful manner in order to satisfy the due process requirement. Again, Aberdeen, Springfield, I'm not going to read all those. At a bare minimum, there must be some process to ensure that the individual is not arbitrarily deprived of his rights in violation of the state or federal constitutions. This requirement is met when the defendant is provided with notice and an opportunity to be heard. Conclusion. Oh my God. Defendant Jane Doe requests this honorable court to instruct the movement to adhere to IRCP 7B3A through H, as well as to uphold their professional codes of conduct when requesting leave from the courts where defendant Jane Doe's right to due process is being violated. Defendant Jane Doe is asking pursuant to IRCP 7B3D to deny movement from filing any future brief or memorandum in support of motion due to movement not indicating on the face of the motion whether the party intends to file a brief or a memorandum supporting the motion. Oh, shit. Oh, okay. Oh my God, you guys. If you don't tell them that you're going to be filing anything in support of this, this just blocks it from that ever happening. Oh my God. That means like if this was to be continued or if you were trying to like add to it or whatever, nope. All right, where were we? Defendant Jane Doe is asking pursuant to IRCP 7B3H that defendant's request to extend the hearing date to a date that falls outside of defendant's right to have 14-day notice. Defendant Jane Doe asked that the courts deny Movent's request for an order allowing Movent shortened time as stated for the reasons above. So this was for, what was this? Defendant's objection to improper notice. Oh, damn, she even did a certification of some. Get out of here. What else is this? What are these ones? Defendant objects to motion for leave to withdraw hearing date. And what else? Is that it? Oh, and then the motion to withdraw itself objected to. Holy shit. Well, that hearing was today. Okay. So this is what we're looking at. This is like a case management. So that hearing was today. And Jane Doe, Karen, was able to file written documents and motions and file them because, again, at the 11th hour, Jane Doe, aka Karen Moore, realized that she was not represented in this case, allowing her to then file motions on her own. You cannot file motions with the court if you are represented by an attorney, even if you are in a situation with this withdrawal type thing. So whoever was helping and providing any type of guidance to Karen Moore, wow. The motion to withdraw was denied. Trial will go as is. Trial as is in January. And Dana and Matt are still the attorneys for Dan Moore. So the motion to withdraw was denied. MVP Karen. The trial as is in January, and Dana and Matt are still the attorneys for Dan Moore. They were not allowed to withdraw. It's highly prejudicial. 1-0. If you know, you know. If you know, you know, Murky. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Atlanta, are you going? Hair of the dog that bit your cat's ass. Hair of the dog. I don't know. Actually, they cannot. You'd be amazed what research, when you research things, can happen. Researching is underrated. So is being drugged and by your husband and them taking pictures of you, I guess. Won't their attorney just do a crappy job now? Well, we'll see who's got any brains here to see what the precedent what was just set. Research is underrated. So is being drugged by your husband. So there's that. Jennifer's attorneys objected to the withdrawal. They didn't object to Jill withdrawing, so that should just tell you. A lot of ass kissing. Dana Bose basically gave up her firstborn to try to get out of the case. I think she attempted to do a disassociation or something like that. Like basically she's second chair or something, and she just wants to leave it all on the shoulders of Matt or something. I think that she would have given up her firstborn child to get out of it. And I just think it's crazy. These are the easiest people to defend, and the case is just so simple. The case is simple because of the evidence. Without the evidence, I mean, so hopefully that brings everybody up to speed. How do the Moores feel at this point? I mean, I don't speak for them, but I think that, well, the alternative could have been like the worst case scenario that could have happened today, and it did not happen today, which was the judge could have allowed the withdrawal, forced the trial in 6 weeks, and either made the Moores go, pro se and defend themselves in 6 weeks, or force them to try to like get somebody to, to represent them and still have trial in 6 weeks. So, I love this name. Hair of the dog that bit your cat's ass. Can you just put that in at the back there? So this was like the last conference, like this, the amended order setting trial and pretrial order. So there's all these like deadlines and stuff, and so I was taking a look at this one, which is the proposed jury instructions and verdict forms. We're going to make sure that we're all over these verdict forms. So witness lists, 14 days prior to trial is when the witness lists, and those are pretty much the lay witness lists, because you've already have to have, I think you have to disclose your, let's see, exhibit lists 14 days prior to trial. Trial briefs are encouraged but not required. This is what was filed by Jen's team and will be heard on December 31st. Pre-marked exhibits and an exhibit list shall be exchanged between the parties no later than 14 days prior to trial. Each party shall also deliver to the judge's chambers no later than 48 hours before trial one complete original marked set of the parties' proposed exhibits and an exhibit list for the use for the clerk during the trial, and one complete duplicate marked set of the parties' proposed exhibits and an exhibit list for the use by the judge during the trial, and one complete duplicate marked set of the parties' proposed exhibits and exhibit for the use for the witnesses, because they're going to be at the stand. Unless otherwise ordered, plaintiff shall identify exhibits beginning with the number 1, and defendant shall begin with 500. Damn. If there is more than one defendant, the second defendant should begin with the number 1500. Well, there you go. Oh, did Murky go? Okay, take care, Carson. How do I have to go? Woohoo! I transferred. Woohoo! Woohoo! Okay, back to Kohberger. We are trying to get down to the nitty gritty. We are trying again to get the body cam from the August date. It's just a simple thing. We want to know, was it a wrong number? Was it a typo? What happened here? Why did the PCA have 2 typos, but it's the same typo? So these lawyers had the audacity to think that they could take $200K from the elderly, leave them defenseless, and walk without any repercussions. Google and Yelp reviews should be negative $200K. I would stay away from that. I mean, you can leave your own review, but I think it's just like, this is crazy though. But Atlanta, I think we see that attorneys feel intimidated by ISP. I don't think so at all. Not when you're married to a cop. Why would you be intimidated by a cop? You're married to one. Dana Bose is married to a cop. She has so many friends that are cops. So paralegals are friends with cops that they have. I don't think that Dana Bose is if anything, I mean, like I said, you're friends with these people. I just think that if people made a mistake, it's so easy to say, like, holy shit, I don't know how we didn't catch this. You know? That's why you take an oath. You know, it's just that explains so much. Well, I wanted to bring everybody up to speed. I think it's really interesting when criminal defense attorneys such as Dana Bose and Matt Dugan, like these are criminal guys, like they're criminal defense attorneys, and you know the rules of civil procedure are definitely different. Not all things are different, but there's a lot of things that are different. And for example, in a criminal case, you know, you can file a motion to withdraw and just claim all the stuff that was claimed. You know, in a civil case, you can't just claim that stuff. Okay. When you're a public defender, you want to file for a motion to withdraw, and you want to claim what you claim, and the motion's just granted, you know. But in a civil case, when you're paid $200,000, and you got that money at the end of May, so you got June, July, August, September, October, November, 6 months, 6.5 months, and you just go look at the docket, man. There's been no filings. There's been no movement on this case in 6.5 months. I think there's been 3 depositions. Those were all scheduled before these attorneys ever took the case. So, so yeah, you just can't go, you know. A trial of 10 trial days has been reserved for this trial, because more than one case is set to begin on the designated trial date. Upon completion of one trial, another trial may begin. Due to this possibility, counsel, clients, and witnesses will need to be available during the entire week the trial is set. If the parties believe that the more the trial required, the parties are ordered to notify the court of this request no longer than 60 days prior to trial. God damn it. When the fuck was that? Way to go. What a bunch of dick lickers. On the first day of trial, counsel shall report to the court's chambers at 8:30 a.m. for a brief status conference. Make sure that there's no hanky-panky going on in the chambers like Kentucky. Okay, so trial will begin at 9 a.m. and end at 5. And you guys, we got nothing but a cowbell down there in Idaho. Outside, just if you are living in Idaho, if you want to be fed for free, I know that we have a grill being set up. We're feeding the homeless. We are feeding moms. We are feeding dads. We are feeding children. We are feeding the need to tailgate for our freedom and for our truth. And tailgating for the truth, baby. Come on out. Sandpoint, Idaho. Pack your bags. Throw a backpack on. Hitchhike. I want to see you guys dressed with some floorboard shirts coming out of the floorboard. Satan. I want some crazy ass people to be cheering on for, truth. If Jennifer Drake had nothing to do with it, I hope to God she sees that Eldora is nothing but a lying Hawaiian, tummy shaking ballerina. You guys remember those little Hawaiian dancers on your car back in the day, and you would like bounce, hit a, I don't know, chuck hole and go crazy? So the trial starts January 23rd, 2025. Jury selection. All I know is the Moores have the best false confession expert in the country. If you want to see somebody testify, I know that would be one of the days that I'd want to be in the courtroom to see his testimony. Dr. Richard Leo, he's testified 420 times. He's just phenomenal. He's from San Francisco. And so that's the same day, you guys, as Bryan Kohberger's suppression hearing. So I'm going to have to flip a coin. Should really have Atlanta meet and greet one day. Yeah, I'll probably get shut up on the block. Satan, not Jesus. How did I mix it up? You like that, Carson? You like that? I'm going to dress as a swinger. How does a swinger dress? Come as a one-night stand. Put on some condom wrappers on your shirt. Glue them on there. Put on like a lampshade, and then you're like a one-night stand, okay? Put on some, I don't know, dress one-night stand. That's what I want you to dress as. But I'm going to dress as a swinger. I'm going to dress as Adam and Eve. Put an apple on your head. Put on some, I don't know, ivy and shit. You guys are great. I'm telling you, though, this case right here, the way that the police did this case is how they did the Idaho 4 case. The Idaho 4 case is absolutely FUCK'd, just like this case. It's the same damn people. They literally can't, again, I know what I'm going to call it. And it's definitely not you're just not inept. You learn in second grade, you learn in second grade how to write something in chronological order when you see an event. So, I sure hope we get more intelligent jury than the Karen Reed jurors. I just hope these people, I hope these people are as conservative as they say, because nobody should be found guilty or liable for a fucking crime that has never, the evidence has never seen the day of light. How are they going to get this evidence in a courtroom in a civil trial? Well, we're not. We're just going to let the false confession ride its way through. Okay. Well, let's hope that hardcore evidence trumps somebody saying something that doesn't even make remotely sense, that did not even happen like that night. Nobody was shot through no motherfucking window. Okay, y'all? Nobody was shot through a window. Okay? Nobody's back is covered in soil and vegetation if they're fucking inside and they got shot in a window and they died immediately. You out of your fucking minds? Brian Drake's sweater, his back of his sweater, has debris all over it. Soil, vegetation. You guys know what that means? That means dirt. Leaves, crunched up. His freaking fingernails have mud. They're dirty underneath his fingernails. Please be sure to hit that thumbs up, though, on your way out. We do appreciate you. So it's like, you know, for him to die instantly, for him to die through... Homie wasn't sitting in no stool. There has to, right up against your backs, up against the window, and the glass particles. There's no glass shards. There's no nothing on the back of that man's sweater that would have gotten blown, the particles. That's why the stool has still particles on it, because if you were on it, your ass was actually sitting on it, it wouldn't fucking not have it, there would be nothing on it because your ass was on it. Also, he had some damn, you know, thing that was sticking out of his back pocket. You would never sit on that. I mean, it is just laughable. The trajectory, this man, Brian Drake, was not shot while he was sitting at his stool with his leg, freaking robotic walking leg thingy. Okay, brace, crutch, whatever you want to call it. The thing bends. His legs wouldn't be under a pop-up chiropractic table. All right. Why? How do you get your legs underneath a chiropractic pop-up table? Okay, if you're trying to walk and go and get help, your legs don't get under a pop-up table. Okay, the pop-up table was put down afterwards. There's a blonde hair. Okay, a female blonde hair on the table. Give me a fucking break. This case, if you do it the right way, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, and the killers are right in front of your face. The liars, it's just black and white, baby. This is a civil trial, though, right? Oh, it's definitely a civil trial. But the facts of this case have to be laid out. And what are the facts? The facts are heavily disputed. The time of the crime, the phone calls. Just because you call 911 people at 7:30, we all know this from the Idaho 4 case. If I call 911 at 7:30, that does not mean that the crime happened at 7:29. Okay? My time of calling 911 has absolutely nothing to do with what time the crime happened. So I don't give a shit if you're going to try to tell the jury that based on when Jennifer Drake called 911, that's what you're basing something off of. That's insanity. Off of what 911 call? One that doesn't exist? One that the dispatcher says that she wasn't at the location that she said that she was? I mean, what are we gonna do? I feel bad for Peter Erblin. I like Peter Erblin. I was looking at some of his stuff recently. And all I gotta say is, man, I don't know what's worse. It's kind of like the Primal Fear movie when Richard Gere realizes that he was defending a guilty man the whole time. There was no stuttering. One of the best movies ever. It's like Peter Erwin's going to realize, if he already doesn't know, that he is not defending the person that he thinks he's defending. And it's literally right there. Who is Peter Erblin? Peter Erblin is Jennifer Drake's attorney. Peter Erblin is the University of Idaho's president's attorney. The University of Idaho. Scott Green? Yeah. Same attorney. Peter, well, he defended him in like Erblund like this. Peter Erblund. Peter Erblund. I feel bad. When someone lies to you and this crime did not happen at 7:26 p.m. This crime happened between 6. Well, we'll see what happens. I have no problem with Peter Erblund. We don't like him. Why not? I don't even know Peter Erblund. Peter Erblund he objected to the withdrawal happening as well. So win for, he wants to take on Dana and Matt. Who wouldn't wouldn't want to take them on? Fuck shit. Jill Bolton, though, okay, if she wants to withdraw, okay, we'll wait it out 6 months for Jill not to be on the case. Oh, Dana and Matt went out? No. We have to take them on. Why? It's like you're handed like a 14 seed, So, all right, guys, peace out so much. Hit the thumbs up on your way out. Be kind. Thank you, mods.
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay, yeah.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight within 2 hours.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
I see noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Like brains, and like if you need a lot of brains, you're gonna be in trouble.
This November 29th, for people that